We live. We live.
You live? Okay.
Yeah. I want to say peace to the family while Kofi got his his box fade trimmed up, his forehead shining. You know what I'm saying? His maroon, what is that? Velvet hair pieces. You know what I'm saying? You know, while Kofi over there trying to get his Ramesses look on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and handle things, man. I want to say ETM Hotel, Rennie Sean, welcome in peace. My name is Sean, a Lafayette to the Mossi Warrior Clan family. Yes, we are a family, a group of like-minded individuals sharing content to help liberate the African mind. We're here today, brother Kofi Piesie. He going in today on the Omo Valley with the Hamar people, if I pronounce that correct. He had put some information up on these people before, if anybody paid attention to it on Facebook. So it's good to revisit the people in the area. And hopefully he's going to bring out some content and some things that people will enjoy. As you're coming in, please like the show, share the show. I know a lot of you sisters and brothers were over on the other channel dealing with brother Garfield and his foolishness. However, we're here on the Mossi Warrior Clan. We want you to like the show, share the show, and we're gonna move forward, man. We want to teach the people. So, Kofi, man, I ain't got nothing else for you. You know what I'm saying? So you can go ahead and drop them jewels on these fools.
All right. I want to say ETM Hotel. Do our Aku, do our Nature. Fatmo Alafie, Fatmo Iwa Pele, Egun, Majube Iba Egungun Kiki, Egungun. I always want to give honor and praises to the ancestors because, again, without the ancestors, we wouldn't be here. Excuse me. I'm going to share my screen. Present to everyone. Y'all. Working on something a while ago. Okay. All right. Again, appreciate everyone for tuning in to the Mossi Warrior Clan channel. Appreciate it. Today's presentation is called Welcome Back to the Omo Valley with the Hamar People. This is a part 2 of the installment. I did about 4 months ago. I did Welcome to the Omo Valley with the Karo people, and I said that I was going to do a bunch of installments in the Omo Valley, dealing with different ethnic groups that's in the Omo Valley. So we dealt with the Karo. We're going to deal with the Hamar today, and then in the future we're going to deal with a few other different ethnic groups in the Omo Valley in Ethiopia. All right. Before we get started, let's. All right, let's go to war. All right, I always have to put a disclaimer out there before I get started. My disclaimer is I am not a teacher, but merely a student sharing information. And that information provided is for the educational purpose only. And if you are in doubt, do the research and have it verified by someone qualified. I reserve the right to change the focus of this presentation to shut down, sell, or exchange the terms or use at my own discretion. All trademark, design rights, copyrights, registered names, mottos, logos, avatars, insignias, and marks, excuse me, y'all, used or cited by these websites are the property of their respective owners. I reserve the right to add information as it comes available in the future or adapt changes, improve information as it comes available in the future. Inputs wanted, changes, additions, deletions, or encouraged. That is my disclaimer. Everybody that follows me know this is my saying. As I learn, we all learn. All right. The Omo Valley is undoubtedly one of the most unique places on Earth because of the wide variety of people and animals that inhabit it. It is located in Africa Great Rift Valley. The region is known for its culture and diversity. The tribes that live in the lower Omo Valley are believed to be among the most fascinating on the continent of Africa and around the world. Tours and offers to the several towns and villages. It is often you come into contact with the following tribes: the Arboru, the Eri, the Bini, the Badi, the Buma, the Dasanik, the Dorsey, the Hamra, which is who we're going to talk about today, the Kora, the Kara or the Koro, which is the people that we talked about 4 months ago with the first installment, Consul, Kiwingu, Mercy, Tisimi, and the Turkana when you tour the valley. And we're going to cover all these different ethnic groups. It's about 12 of different tribes that live in the Omo Valley. So we covered the Karo. So if you haven't looked at the Welcome to the Karo presentation, it was a good presentation. So go back and check that presentation out. I deal with uh the Homo sapiens sapien, 195,000 years, the skull that was found there. We went into a different things of the Hahnemann stages and so forth. We talked a little bit about the Omo Valley. We talked about the Gib Dam that was built there that the Chinese and Italians in that's converting the water from the Omo River and converting them to different places. And it is a danger for a lot of these tribes because a lot of these tribes deal with uh, planting planting certain things and to rely on the rain and the flood from the Omo River, you know what I'm saying, to cultivate the plants and so forth. And they utilize the river for eating. You know, they fish in that as well. But the Chinese now is over there and they're converting with those dams that they got are converting the water over into other different places. With that hydro dam. All right. What I talked about all that in the first presentation. So again, if you hadn't checked that presentation out, please check that presentation out. The Hamra are well known as Hamra or Hammer, or one of the most known tribes in southwestern Ethiopia. They inhabit the territory east of the Omo River and have villages in Terma and Demika. They are a semi-nomadic pastoral people numbering about 42,000 people. And a lot of the things that you're going to see in this presentation is going to kind of mirror a little bit of the Koro people. The Koro people is around 1,000 to maybe 3,000 people. And a lot of the Koro people got a lot of some of their culture and some of their rituals and ceremonies from, they say, from the Hamra people. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But a number of these people are 42,000. They are way, way bigger than the Karo people. Honey collection is the major activity, and their cattle is the meaning of their life. They will stay for a few months wherever there is enough grass for grazing, putting up their round huts. When the grass is finished, they will move on to the new pasture grounds. This is the way they have been living for generations. Once they hunted, but the wild pigs and small antelopes have almost disappeared from the land in which they live. And until the And until 20 years ago, all plowing was done by hand with digging sticks. The land isn't owned by individuals. It is free from cultivation and grazing, just as fruit and berries are free from whoever collect them. The hammer moves on when the land is exhausted from overwhelming by weed. So the wealth of the Hammer people is you are wealthy if you own a bunch of cattle. So you are rich if you own a bunch of cattle. It's just a picture of the Hammer boys with the cattle. Those guys are actually named something else when you see them with those bands on their heads and the feathers on top of their heads. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Often families will pool their livestock and labor their herds, their cattle together. In the dry season, whole families go to live in grazing camps with their herds, where they survive of milk and blood from the cattle. Just as for other tribes in the valley, cattle and goats are at the heart of the Hammer life. They provide the cornerstone of the household livelihood. It is only with cattle and goats to pay as bride wealth that man can marry. So again, the cattle is very important in their traditions as well. In order to get married, in certain way, in a lot of the cultures, in African cultures, a lot of other African cultures, not all, but in a lot of the African cultures, they deal with something called dowry, where they give certain gifts and so forth. And y'all should know a lot of the different gifts and stuff that they give due to the plentiful information that we have, the Mossi have provided. And one of them is cattle. So you're gonna see how much cattle that they have to give in order to get married. But we'll get into that a little bit later on as well. There is a division of labor in terms of sex and age. The women girls grow crops, the stable of sorghum alongside beans, maize, and pumpkins. They are also responsible for collecting water, doing cooking, and looking after the children, who started helping the families by herding the goats from around the age of 8. The young men in the village worked the crops, defending the herds or go off raiding for livestock from other tribes, while adult men herds the cattle, plow with ox, and raise beehives, because that's another one of their thing is honey, beehives, and in the in the acacia tree. Sometimes for the task like raising a new roof or getting a harvest, and the women will invite her neighbors to join her in a work party in return for beer or a meal of goat specially slaughtered to feed them. Here is a picture of a hammer woman here fetching water. Here was another picture here of a Hammer woman cooking. So I gave you some of the duties of what some of the women do: cooking, fetching water, other things that dealing with the cattle, raising the kids, um, and a lot of other different things. Oh man, I didn't want to show that picture, but we'll get back to that picture a little bit later. I thought I deleted, well, actually rearranged that picture. But cattle raiding is another important tradition. From time to time, a man will go on to raid alone or with a hunting field called miso to take food, cattle, and other weapons. And this is what some of the young ones would do. They will go out and raid for cattle and weapons of ammunition, and man he kills. And more importantly, this is to give the important status. After a kill, the man returns to his village where he is welcomed as a hero and entitled to scarification. Seen this in the Karo culture. One line for each killing performed. The Hammer women also have artistic scars. Some women before marriage, others afterwards. And some villages, if a man has no more room to tally his kills, one of his wives having his scarrings in entitlement on her skin. Most men prefer scarified women and those who are not. The scariest almost a woman cuts small branches from a bush with pairs of sharp thorns. The double thorns is used to lift up the skin, which is then cut with a sharp iron hand tool made from the blacksmith. Here was this thorn bush that they use in order to make different scarification on the women that they was talking about. So they use these thorns from this bush here. Here is a guy that we was talking about. They use, like I said, you can kind of see the mirroring of the Cairo with the Hamara people, far as them getting certain markings on their stomach by killing an enemy or protecting their families and killing a wild beast uh, in the area where they will get these talents. You see this. This is, I guess, you could say, this is where what's the character name? What's the character name in the Black Panther movie? What was the I guess you could
About
say the
T'Challa?
villain was
Or you
who?
talking about the you ain't talking about T'Challa, you talking about his cousin?
Yeah, his cousin. You know where he had the different markings on his chest of the kills
Yeah.
that he had killed. So I'm assuming, and I'm just assuming this is where they get, because like I said, I only seen this so far in the Omo region. The Karo people does it, and the Hammer does the same thing with the markings of the kills from the beast, the wild beast, for them for protecting their families and their villages, or the killings from killing one of their enemies. Because these groups, the 13 groups that I named
Oh,
already, go ahead.
Caleb said it's Killmonger.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, Killmonger. You can see the markings that Killmonger had some of these same similar what's the names, and it could be because I know they used a lot of culture from a lot of different regions. Even, and I'm gonna say they did, because even when we get into I think that's the Mercer tribe that's in the Omo. I think the Mercer lose the plate lips, and if you go and you look on the Black Panther movie, you can see um some of the people that was out there when Black Panther was actually finna go through the lit ceremony of fighting for the throne. You could see some of those people out there that had those plates in their lips. And I think that is the Mercy people, but they are in the Omo Valley. I could be mistaken. It could be the Mercy, or it could be the Dasanic people, but I'm not sure. But it's in the Omo Valley. Here was another marking of another guy. He has scarification marks, and then he has the markings of the kills on his chest and his abdomen region. And again, it could be for killing an enemy, or it could be for killing a wild animal. The women also have scarification marks as well. You see the scarification marks on the sisters, and these are the scarification marks that they use, that they actually put on when I showed you the picture of the thorns. They take the skin, raise the skin, take those thorns, and use, I guess, bind those thorns together to create these scarification marks on the women. And we know in most African traditions, scarification marks are actually symbols of beauty. You know what I'm saying? And for attraction. Some men are attracted to women who has scarification marks on their body. And in the Hamra tribe, they love people. You are more attractive if you have scarification marks on your body. You can see here is another woman of scarification marks. And I just want to say something too. I know in a lot of these presentations, we show breasts and we show certain things. Um, but we got to start having some type of self-discipline. I know a while back here, with the presentation I was doing, they were saying, here come the boobies, they go to boobies. We have to have some type of discipline. And a lot of these tribes, you have to understand that these tribes are they're on a tropical continent. The sun is closer to the equator there, so it's hot. So they have on less clothes as possible because it's hot there. But these people have discipline. You don't see men running around because the women have their breasts out and talking about the women breasts, or trying to fill on the women breasts, or the men half naked and the woman running around trying to grab the man fattest. These people have discipline. We had to get back to having discipline as well. Because I was looking at something, and I just seen people making comments about the boobs being out and people not having this, making just stupid comments. But anyway, Africa, after the Hammer man has killed an enemy, he has struck back to his home village with his missile, singing songs of praise. And this is an individual that goes with him when he goes out to raid other villages for cattle, or they just going out for certain things. He has another guy with him. The Miso sings songs and praise to himself and others along the way. Once he reaches the gateway of his father's homestead, a white goat throat is cut and the blood is spilled over the killer's shoulder to symbolically wash away his guilt in having slain another man. The father greets his son by lifting up his right hand, in which he is already holds the gun and genital scrotums of the penis of his, if he can get them. And these are trophies. Don't ask me why. These are trophies that they get once they kill their enemies. Of the slain enemy. These are then placed atop of the gateway, and then the warriors is decorated with a garland of leaves from the local shrubs. Women enter the scenes and decorate the hero with beads and small leather belts with a tied around his head, elbows, and arms. The hero then receives a special name, Eretmit, reserved for a killer. A Hamar people are considered to be masters of body decoration and it would be an understatement to say that most Hamar men and women share the fundamental beliefs of physical perfection. Hair grooming is permanent in Hamar concepts of beauty. Women roll their locks with fat and red oysters of sal and then twisted them into crimson colored dreads called gosha. And I talked about this in my African hair presentation, where we went through Africa and I show all these different hairstyles and the symbolic of the hairstyles, what the hairstyles mean, certain situations. For as you can notice, if a woman married by a certain hairstyle, if someone has died, a certain hairstyle, how long she worn a certain hairstyle, a person being born a certain hairstyle, a person dying a certain hairstyle. So a lot of hairstyles I talked about, and the dreads is not a I know we when we think of dreadlocks, we think of Jamaica. We think Jamaica or the innovators or the dreadlocks. But we have been our people have been dreading their hair in Africa for time immemorial. But these are not the only people that does the dreadlocks. You have the Himba people that does the dreadlocks, the Kara people that does the dreadlocks. You have people in West Africa that does the dreadlocks, the thick dreadlocks, the thin dreadlocks, and etc. A style that men finds attractive. There are rituals, the ritual word in Hamburg called dosho, which evokes abundance and overflowing of growth of the fields, and some of the dosho is also like the red butter ridglets of the young woman hair because they invoke a similar meaning. So here is a Hamburg women here pounding and grinding the orchard clay. This is the clay that they use to put in the dreadlocks of the women hair to give it that red color. And again, the Himba people use the same method. The Karo people use the same method. Here is a young woman here. They are putting the red archer into the young woman's dreadlocks. Here is another picture here of a woman preparing the dreadlocks because grooming is very, very important in the Hamra culture. Here are the dreadlocks of the women. You know, look how nice and neat these dreadlocks are. So this is not the only hairstyle here in the Hamra culture, but this is the but most of the women you will see with the dreadlock styles. And you can see here the women with the dreadlocks, they also have beads, lots of beads around the necks and the coral shells and the animal skin skirts, uh, which resembles the style of almost the Karo people. Because again, the Karo people and the Hammer people kind of mirror each other. And it is said that most of the culture uh, and some of the rituals the Karo people got from this bigger group in the Omo Valley called the Hamra people. And again, you see beads and shells, and I keep reiterating, you don't see stones, you don't see crystals around. Again, I'm not knocking that culture, but that is an Indian culture, that is Hindu, that has nothing to do with Africa. Our people wear beads and cowrie shells. We decorate everything with those. Here is another woman with the dreadlocks and the knocked out teeth. Knocked out teeth is also considered a sign of beauty to the Hamra people. Courage Hammer men that have killed an enemy of danger animals wear a style of mud cap that lasts from 3 to 6 months. The hair is teased, then flattened with mud and water, and painted with red ochre and lime. Goat vertebrae are added to the back or front of the bun so that one more white ostrich feather, tutti, can be attached to it. These feathers are symbols of hunting of the domain of nature. To protect the prized hairdos, Hammer men at all times, excuse me, carry with them the borkoto, or the carved tool which they use as a headrest. And here you can see, and I'm gonna show some more picture, but you can see the brother here again, they take pride in the grooming and the way that they look. You know, specifically dealing with their hair. Showed you the women. These men here wear these mud caps, and it is similar again to the Cairo. You can see the Cairo men uh, wearing some similar styles of these mud caps. Even with the laying the hair down and putting these pieces on the head with the feathers. In the Koro society, not in the Hamra, but in the Koro society that I talked about, they use white feathers. And again, white feathers, we use feathers in Africa. I know when we look at feathers, or someone else look at a feather, they'll say this brother is a Native American. They'll say this brother is an Afro, but that's not the case. You know, we use feathers. We use all types of things that we see in nature. And in the Karo people, the warriors wore black feathers in their mud caps. So you would know this brother would be a warrior because of the black feather that he wear. They also wear red feathers, and they also wear white feathers like the Hamra people wear white feathers. The different color feathers mean different things according to the Cairo society, but you will see the Hamra people with just this one white ostrich feather uh, decorated into the mud cap. Here is another Hamra man. He is actually preparing the clay bun for one of his friends and actually placing it on his head. Here is another small clay cap of an elder. You can see he has a white and black feather in his head, look like. Uh, Here's another individual with the clay cap on, and he has a white feather on his head. You can see the brother, he has those same scarification marks on his chest. Here is the bokoto that they say they walk around with to protect their hairstyles. You know, the women do the same thing. They get their hair done. They got their hands all on the side of their head where their head is not touching anything. These brothers is serious about not messing up their hair and their mud caps. So the bokoto is the carved stool, and you can see one of the elders actually laying on this. I actually put some information out about this on the African hair presentation that I did, and on the Mossi Warrior Clan like page, I put out some different information, but it was all dealing with those hair stools. And it was also used for pillars, also used to get your hair done. Marriage and engaged women wear two heavy iron rings around their necks called isitis. But if they are the first wife of a man, an additional torque with a phallic protrusion known as a bayuri is worn. Women also decorate themselves with cories, shells, glass, seeds, and metal beads, and wear beaded goat skin frocks, which I showed you a while ago, that cover their upper bodies. Elder women adorn themselves with thick iron rings called zah, stacked on their arms and legs. Traditional arm rings could only be purchased with cattle, 25 rings for one cow. These cows, again, are vital to the Hamara culture. The more cattle that you have, that's how you tell in their status of a person being rich or a family being rich is how much cattle that they have. And even when you get married, you have to give the wife's family cattle, and you got not one cattle. And then these rings, these arm rings, and these arm rings and these leg rings, 20 rings. equal up to 1 cow. These rings are worth money too. We'll get into that. The Boyeri and the Yashiti. So you have here these rings here, these chrome rings here is what we talked about on the previous slide. They said the women, you can tell the first well, actually I get into, you can tell who's married. So you can tell who's married, the women who's married, by these certain things that they have on their neck. You have the Bayiri, which is this metal piece that has leather on it, and it has this piece in front of it. Then you got the Incenti, which is these rings here. You may see some women with just this piece on. You may see some women with both of these pieces, this and this piece on. You may see some with just the rings on, the Incentis. So one, it will show, here go one here. You see this beautiful Hammer woman here. She has on these neck pieces. She has on both. So this one piece here represents that she is the first wife. They can have multiple wives in the Hammer culture, but you don't see them having much wives because of the dowry that they have to pay to these women families. And we're going to get into how much cattle they have to give in order to get married, you know. And but this woman here has on one. You can see these women has on some. This woman has two on. That means that she is the first wife. This woman in the middle, she is the first wife, but her husband is married to two other women. So this represents the first wife and the two other women that her husband had. And again, you can see this woman with the ring on here. She is not the first wife. She just has on these rings. So here's another one. This woman here has on a ring with these two. So you can see that her husband is married to multiple women, but she is the first out of all these. So this is how you distinguish the Hammer people from being married, who is the first, and how many wives that the Hammer man may have had. There were other pictures of the women. Again, these are the women that are not married yet. They don't have on the metal brace around their neck, or the metal brace that's wrapped in the leather skin with a piece poking out the front of it. So these women are not married yet. So you can distinguish what women is married from who. And again, you can see the goat skin or the animal skin aprons that the women wear, the beads, the cowrie shells, and the beaded necklace and the beaded headbands that they wear. Again, our people don't wear stones and crystals. Our people decorate themselves with beads and cowrie shells. And again, I'm not knocking the stones and I'm not knocking the crystal. Just don't get those two cultures, don't get the Indian culture mixed up with the African culture. These are the rings that I was talking about in the other slide. These rings here are worth money. These women wear these rings, and mostly you will see the elder married women with these rings on their arms and the rings on their leg on their legs. And these women, and again, I think it says 20 rings, either 20 or 30 rings. Let's go back because I want to be sure. Uh, yeah, 25 rings for 1 cow. So they are work, but they can't, these women keep these rings on their arms and on their legs until they die. These things stay on until they die. And then once they die, they're able to use these things. You know what I'm saying? They are valuable where they can take 25 of these rings and buy 1 cow. Here is another elder lady. Like I said, you will see a lot of the Hamra elder people with the rings on their arms and the rings on their feet. All right. And the individual, we know the individual that make these things are called we call them blacksmith in today's time, but they call them gitos. The Hamra people call them gitos, or what we would call blacksmiths. So the Hamra blacksmiths or gito fits a young girl with her first iron collar, the Asenti. And again, the Asenti is the metal collar. This is the collar that the second wife and the third wife and the fourth wife. But again, you don't see them marrying too many women because of the dowry that they have to give to the women family. And wealth is determined by the cattle, and it is expensive to own all of these cattle. So the first iron collar, or the ascenti, the first, he pounds the ascenti into the form on her forge, on his forge, and then he stretches his client's neck on a log. With some skillful taps, its sledgehammer is close to the circlet on her fragile neck. The ascenti will never leave her until death. The blacksmith, others creations, especially heavy leg rings called zaz, are extremely valuable, which I stated in a few other slides. They are valuable, very valuable, and these women keep these things on until death. And then they can take these things again. 25 rings equal up into a equal. I mean, you can buy one cattle with 25 rings. And again, these cattle are very expensive. And these rings, the ascenties, which are just the metal rings that goes around the wedge again, which represents the second wife or the third wife. We know the first wife were the Beryeri, if I'm pronouncing it right, but they were this metal plate, but it has leather skin wrapped all the way around it with a piece protruding out the front of it. Iron rings, necklaces, tools, weapons, and rituals objects are considered to be precious items, and only the person skilled in art and creating them in a blacksmith, again, which is called the gito. The gito again is what we would call blacksmiths today, and we know in most African societies those blacksmiths are high in society. You know what I'm saying? They have high status in society, in their society, in their clans, their tribes, and etc. Not surprisingly, the Hamra referred to the blacksmith as someone who is inflamed, Idu Nu, meaning one with creative energy and imagination. Blacksmiths are mystical figures who are always men, and they learn the profession from their fathers. So this trait of being a blacksmith or a gito is passed down from one father to the next. In some villages, it is believed that the Gito has the power of the eye, a danger power like the evil eye Chaki, which can make someone sick, even a friend, and eventually kill them if they are not quickly treated with the bush medicine. For precaution measures, blacksmiths that have some power live in exile several miles away from the community, even though their works is eagerly sought after. These men are so revered that their home communities provide them with food and water throughout their lifetime, which is typically brought by the intermediary who will never look at the man of fire. At death, blacksmiths are not buried in the earth with their people. We just throw him down and crevice in the rock. Today, this is dark mysticism and believe is only followed in a few communities, and most blacksmiths realizing that they can make more money by moving into tourist towns like Termi and Damika are no longer feared because the power of the eye has left them. So at one particular time, the blacksmiths or the ghettos was once feared. You know what I'm saying? No one messed with them, but their community provides them, and they was exiled, not exiled, were actually, you know, had their own. They lived off on their own. You know, certain other cultures that I talked about throughout the months, the same way. These other different tribes, the same way. These blacksmiths, they lived. You know what I'm saying? They had their they lived kind of away from the community, and they was revered and had a high status. Same way here. The Hammer women kicking up some dust in the family corral by dancing and singing and praising. These are the women here. They having a good old time. This is a ceremony that is finna get ready to take place. So the Hammer women get together. They travel, drink, they dance, they praise, they blow their horns, and they getting ready to go to a certain event. And we're going to get into that certain event or get into that certain ceremony that's going to take place. All right, here is the Hamar women here. Now, after they have had an old merry of a time, a good time, drinking, singing, eating, dancing, playing their instrument, now they are on their way to meet the massa. And I showed you a picture of the massa on an earlier picture. Maybe it might have been like the fourth or fifth slide where I should no, wait a minute, third slide when I was talking about the cattle. You know, one status, one family or person who has cattle is considered to be of high stature, status, or can be considered to be wealthy. And I showed you a picture of some young men around some cattle, and they had a band on their head and they had feathers, two feathers, one feather on one side and a feather on the other side of the head. And I told you we'll get into those young men and who are they? They are called Mazas. And we're going to get into the Mazas. We're going to get into what the Mazas do. This is a particular ceremony that is about to take place, and some people may not be fancy of this particular way information that I'm about to display, that this ritual that take place, and we'll talk about why these women does certain things and why the massa does certain things to these women. And again, it has something to do with a ceremony. So you go through one process with the singing, the dancing, the eating, and the drinking, and then the women goes out to meet these men who are called the massas. And then the massa takes place in this ceremony that does certain things. And then once this ceremony or ritual is over with, then they go into another ceremony, which we're going to deal with is the adulthood that's dealing with the men and a certain process that these men have to go through or certain things that this men have to go through. So all of this is tied in together. One, on the afternoon of the leap, the man-female relative demands to be whipped as a part of the ceremony. The girls go out to meet the massa, the one who will whip them, and group of men who have already leaped across the cattle and live apart from the rest of the tribes. And we're going to get into the leaping of the cattle. These men had something to do with the leaping of the cattle, but we'll get into that. And we talked about this with the Karo people earlier, because some of the ceremonies and rituals that the Hamar people do, the Kara does as well. The leaping of the cattle and leaving apart from the rest of the tribe. Moving from ceremony to ceremony, the whipping appears to be consensual. The girls gather around and beg to be whipped on their backs. The female relatives get their body lashes until a river of blood flows into the dry earth. They do not show the pain they must feel, and they say they're proud of these scars. They will look down on a woman who refuses to join in, but young girls are discouraged from getting whipped. Such sacrifices are performed in the name of love, love in your name of love. And if your sister, female cousin, or auntie needs your assistance in the future, your debt to them is sealed. You can't ignore their request, period. After all, they nearly died for you. So this is a ceremony that these women go through in order to be whipped and to show their courage, to show their support. It can be, and it's actually, these women can be, if it was me finna get ready to go through my adulthood rites of passage, my auntie, which could come, my cousin who was a female could come in support of me, my sister could come in support of me, and they will go to meet the masters. And this is a ceremony where they, through consent, this is nothing that is forced on them. It is consensual, and it's actually something that the women want to partake in by being whipped. And by being whipped, these women are being whipped on their backs and on their arms until they're able to bleed. They are turning the Mossis, these individuals, and I'll get more into the Mossis. We're going to go more into the Mossis, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the whipping, and we're going to get more into the whipping and deal with what they mean by these women. Now the men are in totally debt to these women, and whatever these women ask for, they have to obey their requests. Here is, I'm gonna show a quick thing of the whipping ceremony. And that's an elder. You can see the elder with the jacket on. The elder there is for a certain reason too, and we'll get into why the elder is there. All right, fighting, and these women fighting to be the first to be whipped. So you can see the women here. No, 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 let me go. No, no, let me go. So these women are wanting to be whipped by these massa. And we're going to get into what the massa is, and then we'll get more back into the whipping ceremony. But here is a picture that I said that they will be whipped until blood start coming out the back of the backs. And we'll get more into the whipping, you know, again, which I kind of already talked about, was, you know, these women showing their courage, these women showing their strength and their support for their family finna get ready to go through its rites of passage, but also to show them, to show them that they are in support, but also for a learning lesson as well, actually for um, their family member who's going through this adult to be indebted to them for life. And we'll get more into that as well. So the masa. So let's get back into the masa, and then we'll go back into the whipping ceremony a little bit, and then we'll go into the adult rites of passage and what do they do. And all of this is a part of that. The masa. These are the masa men. The masa meaning accomplished one, or like an exiled nomadic tribe, a group of men who have completed the bull jumping but have not married because their relative have not yet found them a bride or the money with which to pay for the dowry. Now let's go back again. The Mossi means the accomplished one. This means that this man has accomplished his rites of passage to be an adult, because to be recognized as an adult in a society, he has to go through some type of ceremony, some type of ritual, and it is called bula, and it's also called the bula in the Kora tradition as well, because the Ometic language is to the Karo language is similar to the Hamar people as well, but I think the Cairo called their ceremony bula as well, but I think they also called it the pillar or the pilora. I can't remember exactly, something with a P, but they call it both two different, but it's called the bula. And these men, and we'll get more into the bull jumping ceremony, which is called bula, in a minute. But these men actually went through the adult righthoods of passage. But these men are not married, so they are called massas. They have accomplished of becoming an adult, and we know after becoming adult, the next rites of passage is the marriage. The adulthood, then the marriage right. The marriage, the adult right, then the marriage right. And we done talked about this numerous times on the Mossi Warrior Clan channel. And so these guys are not married yet. And it is certain reasons some don't want to get married, and most do not have the money or the resources in order to pay its bride's family to be married to him. Dowry, we talked about dowry. They will have to give cattle. We're going to get into how much cattle they have to give to the family in order to get married. And this is nothing new of paying a dowry to the woman's family. You know, we talked about that a lot. In particular here, it is dealing with the cattle. Other traditions are different. Most initiate remains a master for a few months, a few for up to 2 years. And very occasionally, the individual will decide to remain a master for the rest of his life. Once the whipping ceremony is over, the master take part in a ritual of painting their faces as leopards in red and white with spots, while the women start assembling the herds of ox. The herds is then brought into a clear land, the women circling it, screaming and shouting. The Mas or the Masa, they go by Mas or Masa, then head for the animal, and with great skills they gather them side by side until a line is formed. This is all the process of going into the adulthood. The women, again, the Hamar women, drinking, eating, singing, dancing, and praising, and then the Hamar woman goes off to find the Massa men, to taunt the Massa men to be whipped. And then after the whipping ceremony is over with, the Massa men will go and they will paint their faces. And the women will go and assemble the oxen or the herd for the adult righthoods passages now. And again, the Massas have already completed their rites of passages, but they are not married yet. After the adult rite, you have the marriage rite. Some wait a few months because they have to come up with the funds to actually pay for the dowry for their wife, which are cattle. Some 2 years to actually work to come up with the money to pay for their bride to be. Some, a few just say, hey, look, I'm just going to stay on Masa. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to get married. They travel from jump to jump and receive village gifts of food and drinks and their services. But when there are no forthcoming bula, which is the cow jumping, I mean the jumping, right? For the period of time they live off the land and collect honey and drinking cow milk and blood. These individuals, they get paid, but where they actually get compensated for the services. These monsters, they travel from village to village in the Omo region, and most of them give gifts. They get gifts. They get gifts of food. They get drinks and all types of other services. The Hama tribesmen cover themselves in brightly colored jewelry and makeup as they prepare for the bull jumping ceremony. Many monsters wear distinctive hairstyles called the mali that represents the marking on the forehead and the nose of the orange. Once the Mas or the Masa have been married, he then lets his hair grow back to normal. The Masa also paint their faces and look like leopards. Either they paint their cheeks red and put white spots on the top, or they paint them white and add red spots. And they're talking about the hairstyle. So these are the hairstyle. They shave their heads completely, or they wear this certain types. I don't know what this actually, I don't know if it means something. It was a significant to the way that these guys, you can see my cursor, the head shaved and this certain design. I'm quite sure it probably means something. So once these guys are actually married, then they start to grow their hair back. Here is another picture of Masa. You can see the red. You can see it can be in reversible. The red and then the white spots, or the white and then the red spots, and the band with the feathers on both sides of the heads. Just another picture of the Masa getting their face painted after the whipping ceremony. Okay. By this time, the women up to the village have worked themselves into a frenzy, passing around more gourds and sorghum beer and wine to the capocojones of their metal horns. They form a single line and start their way down to the riverbed to incite the massa. Upon arrival, they immediately confront someone timid and resentment men in their midst and shout insults or taunts of the massa into the whipping them. As I stated earlier, that they come down, they start the taunting. I seen my brother NRX Sean Calfunny said the same thing in the chat. By one, the Massa begins to unleash their 5-foot long switches, misiri, on the bare flesh of their victims. These whipping wands can be made from several types of wood, that from the dogo or borze tree, or Hamar say that the top of the misiri there is butter and honey, meaning that the use of the misiri leads to abundance, well-being, and pajoro. Just another picture of the masa and the woman here. And you can see here the marks on the back from the whipping. During the whipping scene, the women and girls involved seems to reach a sort of ecstasy through the dance songs and continual horn blowing, and only after serious provocations and continuous harassment do the massa fire off another barrage of their whips, which breaks in half with their forceful blows. Round after bloody round, the girls beg and plead to be whipped and say repeatedly, "I want to be whipped by this massa, until his mercenaries has been finished off. I will finish all of his mercenary." And as one breaks, someone hands him another one. The elder now, and I told you when I showed the video, the elder was there. The elder there was for a certain reason. The elder now steps in and tells the woman to leave because they have taken too much punishment. If it weren't for the elders, the women would stay here all day and night getting beaten and demonstrating the incredible strength and endurance. Still, for hours, the women keep goading the massa, angrily challenging them to lash their bloody wet backs. Some of them are so emotionally involved that groups of elders have to forcibly restrain them and ultimately carry them back to the village. Excuse me. Hamar parents have a lot of control over their sons, who herd the cattle and goats from their family. It is the parents who give permission for the men to marry, and many don't get married until their mid-30s. Girls, on the other hand, tend to marry at an early age. Marriage requires bride wealth, a payment made to the women's family, and generally made up of goats, cattle, and guns. And now the guns are now implemented in it. Ethiopia, the Omo region, is close to the Sudan. We know a lot of stuff has been going on, a lot of warring, trafficking of guns has been going on over there in the Sudan. So now they trade all types of things for weapons. And we talked about this in the Cairo, welcome to the Cairo presentation as well. Although it is paid over time, likely installments of a bank loan, it is so high, 30 goats and 20 head cattle, that can't usually be paid back in a lifetime. So it takes 30 goats and 20 head cattle in order to marry. This is the dowry that you have to pay in order to get married. That's why when we talked about the massa, or the massa men that's involved in the whipping ceremony, these are guys. Massa means the accomplished one. These guys has accomplished their rites of passage to become adult and to be recognized as adult in the Hamar society in the Omo Valley. But they hadn't been married yet, and due to them not being married, they may not have the resources in order to get married yet. So it takes 30 goats, 20 herds of cattle. I showed you the women, the elder women and the women that has these rings on their necks, the rings on their arms, and the rings on their feet. These things are valuable and they're worth buying things with in the Hamar society. But these women have to keep these things on until death. And it's 25 rings represents 25 rings is you can purchase one cattle. One cattle. It says 20 head cattle in order to be married, and 30 goats in order to be married. That's why I said cattle in their society is high status. It's a symbol of being wealthy. Hammer women on their way to the bull jumping initiation ceremony. So now the Hammer women now are on their way to the bull jumping ceremony, which is called the Bula in the Hamra culture. All get set up for about to be initiated jumpers to start his bull jumping and leaping. So this is a ceremony where you can see here that the women and the masters are here and they are lining up the cattle. And this is another part of the ceremony for the adult righthood for the men, or for the young boys transitioning from a young boy unto to a manhood, or from a childhood until manhood or adulthood. So they are lining up these goats. Some say that I read, some line up four bulls, some line up 10 bulls, some line up more than 15 bulls, and the bulls are backs are wiped with dung. Cow dung and bull dung is wiped across the backs of these cattle in order to not to make the jump more harder, where it won't be easy to jump and walk across the back of these bulls. So you have to walk, when we'll get into how many times they have to jump and walk across the back of the bulls to one side, jump, walk across the back to the other side, and what'll happen if you slip off, and so forth. We'll go into that. The bull leaping ceremony, again, it is called the Bula rite. And again, they have to strip down and be completely naked when they're going through this adulthood rites of passage, which is called Bula, the bull leaping ceremony, which the Karo people also did. If you say, I've seen this before. Yes, you've seen this on my Welcome to Omo Valley with the Karo people. And the Hamar people does the same ceremony of young men transitioning from childhood to adulthood. All right. The Hammer men preparing for the bull jump. His hair is teased out of its braids and his head is shaved from the hairline. So you can see here the woman is now shaving the head, and with her head has been shaved, and now she is teasing the hair out because they wear braids. The men wear braids, but the women also wear braids. But most of the Hammer women you will see wear these nice neat dreadlocks, and she is growing on. I showed y'all a bunch of the nice dreadlocks, the red orchard that they put in the hair to make it that color. And I'll show some more pictures later on too. Okay, so the hair is teased out of his braids, and his head is shaved from the hairline to the crown of the head. This is another thing that they have to do before they go through the rites of passage. From this point forward until they complete bull jump, he will resemble an unkept looking initiate, a coolie, literally donkey. If he succeeds in his rites of passage, his head will be shaved bald because a newborn child has little or no hair. And I talked about this in my African uh, uh, hair presentation, with the shaving of the head, the shaving of the head, or you die, the shaving of the head. In this new life, he will soon become a man and will marry a wife. Just another picture, the head shaved from the hairline always back, and his braids has been taken loose. The Bula rite. The Hammer have very unique rituals such as bull leaping ceremonies. That is, a young man has to succeed in order to get married. The Hammer man comes of age by leaping over a line of cattle as an initiation rite of passage. It is the ceremony which qualifies him to marry on the cattle and own cattle and have children. He also cannot own cattle until he gets married and have children. The time of the ceremony is up to the man's parent. And again, the man's parent is the parents is very involved in the marriage process. Happening after harvest. As an invitation, the guest receives a strip of bark with a number of knots, one to cut off for each day that passes in the run up to the ceremony. Cows are lined up in a row The initiate naked has to leap on the backs of the first cow, then from one bull to another until he finally reaches the end of the row. He must not fall to the row must repeat successfully the test 4 times to have the right to become a husband. Because in order to become married or become a husband, you have to be recognized as an adult. So he has to leap over these cows. And as I said earlier, some say in some there are 4 cows lined up. I mean bulls. Some 10 cows, some 15 cows. And again, dung is wiped on the back of these bulls. So the process wouldn't be that easy. It would make it slippery for them to jump and try to walk fast across these multiple bulls to the other side and then jump across to the next side. While the boys walk on the cows, Hammer men accompany him. They jump and sing. They gave several days of feasting and drinking sorghum beer in prospects. The bull jumping. I'm just gonna show a few seconds of this. I'm gonna just go to our time stamp because again, a lot of our people doesn't have the discipline. And again, when we show here on the Mossi Warrior Clan channel, we deal with African culture and we like to show imagery, we like to show videos, we like to show art, we like to show it all on here. And a lot of times, these people are half naked. And again, the sun is closer to the equator. There it is hot. So these people have on less clothes as possible, and they have discipline, something that we do not have over here. We do not have any type of discipline. So anytime we see anything exposed on a person's body, we lose all type of self-control. We want to either talk about the individual, we either want to try to come on to the individual, we either want to try to touch the individual because we have no discipline. So we show boobs on here because the culture, we have discipline and we understand that is a tropical continent over there and it's hot over there. Go ahead.
Play the video.
I'm just gonna play a piece of it, man, because
man, play the video.
No, because I don't, because you know how the people are.
Kofi,
you know how
play the video, bro. Come on, man. You teaching, man. This is this moment.
So you want me to play the whole thing?
Play the whole video.
Okay, it ain't
anyway.
It ain't but a minute. So that was just a part of the. I wasn't gonna play the whole thing. Like I said, people lose their mind. Again, we have no type of this. Well, most of us don't have no type of discipline and no understanding at all. But failure to jump and then run across the backs of a dozen or more dung Latin bulls is one thing. Oh, oh man. uh sister Tamika, she said she done seen everything. She a nurse. I know you have, sis. Peace, peace, peace to you. Failure to jump and then run across the backs of a dozen or more dung Latin bulls is one thing, but when there is a crowd of several hundred family members cheering you on and who will whip the living hell out you if you don't succeed, that is another. Most Hammer men prefer death over failing at the bull jumping. And if you succeed, your name will be mentioned in a folk song, and soon enough you'll have a new wife. Even young men who are crippled or blind can participate. In such a case, in cases, they are either lifted over their backs of the cattle or allowed to run under their necks. So everybody can participate. If you have some type of handicap, you still can participate in the ceremony. The bullet rite begins several days before the actual jumping takes place. Female relative treks to the village of their beloved over distance that sometimes reaches 20 or more miles. The desert heat is intense, wild animals roam about, and there are marauding enemies lurking in Ethiopia darkness. Once they arrive at the destination, pounds and fools of gallons of sargon beer and honey have been prepared for the visitor so that they can complete their works before the bull jumping begins in a couple of days. All right. As nightfall after the bull jump, the men and women of the Bitter village performs the I'm trying to get it right. Evangadi. I think it's called Invigadi dance, which is the courtship dance. It is the woman who instigates it. They rush up to the man that wants to dance with and make a flirtation shimmer. Sexual dance assaults moves with a quick thirst of the pelvis. Then the men advance toward them in a series of jumps. And this is similar. These are the hammer men. I should have I wanted to put a picture up here. I thought about it, but I didn't put it up here. I wanted to show the similarities, but you can go back to Welcome to the Omo Valley with the Cairo people. After the same thing with their rites of passages, the men does a similar jump uh dance toward the women, and then the women that they jump toward, then they gather toward them women, embrace them women, and then they dance. This is similar to the Hammer people here. So this is a celebration and certain things, a flotation with the women after the bull jumping ceremony. Hammer children. I'm about to hammer children at the Ivagi dance. This is the dance that takes place after all the ceremonies. The women drinking, dancing, eating, and praising, then going out to meet to the masses who are called the accomplished ones, those who have already went through their rites of passages and jumped, had the bull jumping or the bulla, right? And now they are waiting to get married. So until they get married, they are considered masses who are go and participate in what they call the whipping ceremony. After the whipping ceremony has taken place, then they go. The women get the cattle together. The maza paint their face with this leopard to look like a leopard. Um, then the bull right, the man hair is shaved from the hairline back, and his braids is taken loose. And once he complete the jump, he has to jump over 4 to 10 to 15 bulls. And once he completes and jumps over 4 times back and forth, then he is acknowledged as a man, and then his head is completely shaved off. Then he can grow his hair back, but his uh his head is being shaved. After that, the Ivagada dance takes place, flirtations, dance, and party take place. Here is some of the area uh in the homes of the Hamar people. Here is the food storage of for the dry season, where they put their food up during the dry season. Here is another Hamra brother who has a feather in his hair. And again, we do rock feathers in Africa. All over Africa. It's not a Native American thing. Here are some more sisters here preparing pottery with the nice dreadlocks in their hair. And you can see this sister, she has rings. And again, these rings on their arms, their wrists, and these women don't have them on their legs. You will see, they got a few here, but you will see some heavy ones on the married older marriage women. Again, you can see the animal skin aprons that's covering the women's body with decorated and chorus shells, the beads and things that they wear, these male metal braces, which this woman is not the first wife. She will be considered maybe the second wife. This woman is actually the first wife because she has the metal piece that's wrapped in animal skin and this protruding piece that's breaking out. And again, you will see this piece and this piece. If this piece and this piece was together, she would be the first wife, and these two pieces would mean that her husband have two other wives. Here are the women preparing herbs here. Here is another Hamra man who has a feather, ostrich feather in his hair. Some type of style with a braid and whatever that is in the mushroom look in the middle and braids in the back. They styling over there too. Here is a picture here of some nice looking Hamra women and some young kids. Here's another picture of some man. And to me, man, the Hamra people got some beautiful women. Here is another woman here. She has a beaded, she has no hair. She has no dreads nor braids. She has on a beaded headband. She has on a beaded necklace and the animal skin or the goat skin apron with the cowrie shells decorated on it. Here are some more pictures of some more Hamra, some young and warrior woman. Different styles. You can see they not only have the dreads, but again they wear braids. Here's another beautiful Hamra woman here, neatly dreads. And she has something. She just went through a ceremony. They have a ceremony called butter bride, where they put on this type of red oyster, some other type of mixtures of things that they cover their entire body with, and they sit in the home of the if I'm not mistaken, they sit in the home of the potential husband house or family's house. I may be mistaken. I may stand corrected. I can't remember. I wanted to do a little bit more information, more information on the butter bride, what it all consists of, but I only did a very small research on that. Here is another sister here. There's another beautiful sister here. Another this woman here look like your auntie right here to get drunk and then a cuss you slap out. Here's a young couple, Hammer couple. Another Hammer couple here. Brother got the side braids. She has the braids to the back. Another beautiful Hammer woman with the beads. She is the first wife. You can see the piece here, which we know she is the first wife. She has two other bands on, which means her husband has two other wives here. Beads. She has a feather in her hair. It's another one. You can see the woman. You know she's married. Her husband has two other wives. Here's a brother here. Braids in the front, style, design. So they styling it up over there too. Here's a young sister here. She has braids in her hair. She don't have the red dreads in her hair. But most of the people here is a Hammer warrior here with this mud cap on his head. He doesn't have a feather in his head like most of them you will see. That completes my presentation. I hope everybody enjoyed. Welcome back to the Omo Valley with the Hamra people. Again, if you hadn't checked out, welcome to the Omo Valley with the Cairo people. Please go check that out. It's on this channel as well. I did it about 4 months. Be looking forward soon. I don't know when, but we're gonna cover more people in the Omo Valley. We're gonna get into the Sura people. We're gonna get into the Mossi people. We're gonna get into the Dasanik people. We're gonna get into the Body people and the other different ethnic groups. So be looking forward for those presentations coming soon. I don't know when because I may come back and do it. I may come back and do something else. You never know. It took me 4 months to come back and do this one because I wanted to cover some other information. So I hope y'all appreciate this presentation as well as y'all appreciated the other one. But please go subscribe to the Seshuma Ani Meta Nature group. I am a part of this group as well. We are like-minded as well as my brother that's on the panel now, brother NRS Sean Calfunny. We are members who are scribing to be scribes who are studying the Rani Kemet, which is the language of Kemet, and the Sesh Meta, which is the writing of Kemet. So please go subscribe to our channel, the Seshuma Ani Meta. Go and look us up on Facebook. We have a Facebook group page, which is Seshuma Ani Meta. We have a website. Go check out the website. It is Seshuma Ani Meta. Get your books on there, your beginners course on the language from off of there. The rebuttal book to Walter Williams dealing has the ancient hieroglyphs been deciphered is on there. You can purchase on there. Emicat penmanship book is also on there as well. Articles are on there. Good articles are on there as well. So please check out all of the content that we have. Also go to Kofi Piesie TV and subscribe to Kofi Piesie TV. That is my own platform there. I got well over almost 70 some videos. Majority of the videos are mine, but we have a family orientated thing on there now where you can check out brother NRS Sean Calfunny. He has presentations on there. You can check out Satepan Ra Mary Amin. He has presentations on there. You can check out Vasa Nicolo Gullah. He has presentation that has a presentation on there, which I'll mention as far as today. You can check out Asayam Kha. He has a presentation on there as well. T'Challa Bangara. He has a few presentations on there as well. We have Collective. We have Come Together from Voltron. And we have a few presentations that everyone should look at. They have low views, but I think everybody should check it out. Is the Good Character, More Ethics, and More Value series. We have a part 1, part 2, and part 3 where we all 6 of us collectively get together, present information, and discuss information on good character, more ethics, and more values. So please check that out. It is the channel that takes the black man, the black woman, and Eurocentric black woman, black man, and black child Eurocentric mind and Africanizing. Anything you want to know about our African traditions and culture, it is on Kofi Piesie TV. I have plethora of information on there. That African hair presentation that I mentioned a few times is on Kofi Piesie TV that I did. It got some great reviews, so check that presentation out as well as other presentations. The Rites of Passage presentation I have also on there as well. If you want to check out what are the rites of passages, how many are they, what do they entail, what do some groups go through in order to be recognized as an adult, the birthright, according to the names, the marriage right, the circumcision right, the different steps to be an adult, because that's only one process of becoming an adult. The other stages in order to become an elder. What is an elder? Eldership, and then the death right, which you become an ancestor. So go check that out. Also subscribe to the Mossi Warrior Clan YouTube channel. If you hadn't subscribed to the Mossi Warrior YouTube channel, please go subscribe to the Mossi Warrior Clan YouTube channel. We have a lot of great content on here. I think we have some of the best information. I said some. I'm not saying we are the best. I'm saying we have some of the best information on here. And I feel like some people are sleeping on the hard work that the Mossi. What's happening?
Man, you ain't just sit there and say we got the best information on the internet, man. Ain't nobody else teaching this stuff to people, man.
I know it.
We ain't being cocky or arrogant or none of that. It's just the truth. I mean, you get foolishness almost on every YouTube channel. You don't have nobody teaching nobody about Africa, about culture, about none of. You don't have nobody giving information that has been gone back. Some like this presentation you did today. A lot of people in the chase, the first time they hearing this information, they don't know nothing about these people in the Omo Valley. Nothing. They don't know about the ceremonies, the rites of passages, none of that stuff. And they wouldn't have known that until somebody presented that information to them. I said some, I didn't say all. So for other people who already know this information, you know what I'm saying? Let them deliberate on that. But until somebody else is teaching people in the community some outside of the same old circular arguments and debate topics and so forth and all of that, man, we can stand on that. Ain't nobody else doing what we doing. Period.
Right.
So to hell with all that, you know what I'm saying? Some of the best information. We got the best information on here for a reason. You can go and pull one of our videos up and learn something that you didn't know before on every single video. We have all different types of cultural aspects that we deal with our families on the continent and here in the Americas. Because it ain't just that. We got some stuff on here that deal with the Americas as well. Recently, the last video I done, Kofi had a Gullah series on here, part 1 and 2. I mean, we have tons of things.
4 or 5,
right? So it's a bunch of things that we deal with. We have controversial topics. Now, people can say that the whipping ceremony could be a controversial topic, but did we say that we agree with it? No, we put the information forward. This is something tribal. This is something that's been in their culture since their inception. It is what they do in these pockets. Now, what Kofi didn't tell you is that he didn't tell you about their religious practices, because you wouldn't, if just based on what Kofi told you, you wouldn't even know what religion, if they even had a religious belief based on what he showed you. But they actually do. The Hamar people, some of them a large percentage of them are converted Muslims, Sunni Muslim. And we ain't even got to talk about their religious perspectives, because when you look and you study the culture, you don't see no aspect of Muslim in it. None. You don't see no correlation. You don't see them praying to the east and all of this stuff when we start talking about it, showing you what these people doing. Now, granted, they may do it, but when we start talking about all these other aspects of their culture, you wouldn't even thought that they would be Muslim people. And they're in Ethiopia, so a place that's heavily populated as far as converted Christian Coptics and so forth. You know, so it's still pockets of people in Ethiopia that don't subscribe to either religion, that are still holding true to indigenous religious faiths and so forth. So, man, I interrupted you because you ain't got to say some. To hell with some. And to somebody else is putting out information where our people can be liberated through education and showing people some of the things that we're doing. Forget all of that. Apologize. Nobody's doing it, bro. Nobody. We have our brothers and sisters and other families that are targeted into onto a certain lane, and everybody stick to their lane. And we do a good job cohesively sticking to our lanes, and we all know cross barriers with each one of those lanes. We know what we're going to get from the Amara Squad. We know what we're going to get from the Seshu. We know what we're going to get from Voices of Fire. We know what we're going to get from the Mossi. We know what we're going to get from Dagger Squad. We know what we're going to get from, you know what I'm saying, the Magi Archers. We know what we're going to get from University Chemistry Press. We know what we're going to get from MBK. We know what we're going to get from everybody, man. I mean, on our side. So we just stick to what we stick to and deal with what we deal with. We support everybody and we back everybody up, and we let our evidence speak. People have a problem with it, they just have a problem with it. But you know what I'm saying, before you start doing your long soliloquy, I wanted to say something real quick. Hold on. Let me handle this issue. All right, so about the Hamar people, right? You went into the presentation and you said that they got, in order for them to buy a cow, that they had to have at least 20, 25
Those rings. Them rings, those metal rings that they have on their necks,
arms and the ankles of the women.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, in some images that you showed earlier, some of the rings that were on the arms on some women were too tight. Now, I know that they will go back and adjust those for those women if they are cutting off oxygen or whatnot, so that it wouldn't be a health hazard or issue or anything like that. Now, what you didn't talk about in your presentation, and I think I know why, is some other things as far as do they even deal with circumcision from on the men and the women aspects, or do they and do they have any other ceremonial practices that you may agree or disagree with?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. They have another practice again. The Cairo people, some of their practices mirrors the Hamra people. And again, the Cairo people have between 5,000 to 3,000 people. The Cairo people, and these people have 42,000. So, and they are close in proximity. So you will see some of the traditions are what's the name. So the practices, and I've started to put it in here, but for those that want to see it, they can go back to the Cairo people. We talked about the rites of passages. They also frown on having children outside of wedlock. So they believe in being married because when you talk about marriage, you're talking about procreation. When you talk about procreation, you're talking about marriage. So if you have outside of the marriage, when you're picked and you're actually selecting, because I'll talk a little bit more about the Buddha marriage. I didn't do a whole lot of research on it, and reason why I didn't, because I knew people. I didn't really want to have too many things in here because we're not biased with the information. We put what we wanted because these people drink blood. I don't particularly agree with drinking because I don't understand it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna speak about things that I don't understand and why do they do certain things when they drink the cow blood, uh, after after they relocate and go certain places to survive during the dry season. That's something I don't agree with. But also they do the same thing with the Cairo people for as the outside birth. They will starve the child or sit the child out in the wilderness where the child dehydrate, you know what I'm saying, from food and water because the child has been born outside. And we talked about this on the Cairo presentation. So I didn't want to bring this back up on this presentation, but since you asked, those are some things that I disagree that they deal with the practices. But if they want more information about that, I touched a little bit brief with that, and we talked about it after the presentation also on Welcome to the
All right, something else I want to add to this real quick, and I want to ask you this because I think you did some on the or you just made a post on the Himba in West Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Himba people. Now, could the Himba people and the Hamar people be related in some, or or sister cousins or so forth, as far as some of their cultural practices? If anyone's unfamiliar with the Himba people, the women wear this clayish style material on their hair. You got to look at one of Kofi presentations as he put information out on the Himba people. Mm-hmm. And they're the ones who look like the red clay, that real pretty clay, and the men like it like that. It makes the woman look so attractive, so to say. But Kofi, go ahead and answer my question, man.
You know what? I don't know, because I'm gonna take, because a while back here, I thought the Himba and the Hamra people was the same two people.
That's why I asked. Because you see a lot of similarities from the cultural perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Just like when you look at the Himba people, you start seeing you look at the skin. The first thing you want to do is you want to look at the skin. You know what I'm saying? They dress light. You know, they are out there in the sun. They're out there in these cultural perspectives. They wear the beads, they wear the bracelets.
The apron, the lamp, the goat skin aprons, the same thing over there. Same
Right.
thing.
So it's like you start, when we start looking at Mama Africa, and we start looking at our sisters and brothers that are and cousins and stuff that are back on the continent, and from whether it's East Africa or West Africa, you start seeing these correlations, and then you can see through migrations that some of these things had to be introduced into certain aspects. However, I'm not saying that they had to be, but from based on what you just presented, man, they show a close resemblance to one another when it comes to the cultural aspects. But it's a lot of tribes that are have butt naked to people, and it entices the photographers who love to go, these missionaries who love to go in these pockets that nobody's been in, and they start seeing half naked men and women. They love taking pictures of that because when you're dealing with the Hamar, just specifically, man, them camera people, man, you can find thousands of pictures of them trying to show every angle of the breast, every angle of the man's penis. These people are these Eurocentric, over sexualized people, man. They do it, but then when you go in and you start showing the Hamar people and their skin complexion and how they use that clay style dirt or whatever it's called to make their hair, their dreads a certain color, and then you go back and you look at how the Hamar people do their hair, it's the same feel. They wear them almost the same color bead styles.
Yeah.
That's it, man. I'm gonna slick let you, man, go ahead and close the show, man, because you ain't finna tell me that I held your show up. Even though you spoke for an hour and a half.
You good? You good? But
You
yeah,
tell everybody about tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell it. So everybody, please subscribe to the channel. These channels here. These channels got some great information on them. Please tell a friend, tell a friend, and tell a friend, and tell a friend about it. Also tune in at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time tonight to Kofi Piesie TV. Brother Vasa Nicolo Gullah. He will be presenting African concept of time presentation. He will be doing a presentation on the African concept of time tonight. You don't want to miss that. Please come rock out with us tonight at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're not going to let you down anytime you tune in. We're going to always give you some great information. So please join us tonight. Support. And when you come on the channel, I've seen a few new people. If you had subscribed, please, if you come on, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can know, get all the up and coming shows that's coming out. Here are my references here. I keep it paused for a second so you can check out the references that I used for this presentation. So you can go through them, scrutinize them, do what you got to do. I have no problem with that. Again, I appreciate everybody for tuning in to the show. You know what I'm saying? Peace, brother June. I see June Monday. That's a brother I've been trying. We trying to get him involved in the Kofi Piesie family too. My brother June Money. But yeah, and appreciate that. I see some of the same people that come back and support. So peace to Tamika, Yavra, if I'm pronouncing your name right.
Hold on real quick now. Don't give her no shout out.
She support, bro. She support.
Nah, I'm just doing that just to egg on. But to be honest though, she's incorrect in a lot of things. Yes, the Hebrews, the Israelites do sacrifices. They do sacrifices. They have done sacrifices. They do some of the most sickening stuff. But we're not here to badger, butcher, or to put down what they do. It's just a simple fact that they do. They just have changed things. There are aspects in these that have, when they cross the continent into the new world, there are certain aspects that they left behind, and then there's certain things that they evolved from. So you can't demonize a people's culture if they were into certain type of sacrifices, and if they imitated drinking the blood and the body of Christ and all of these other aspects, these things every first Sunday, or some people do it every week. I don't know what the cultural aspects are, but they have these sacrifices. So you can't shun something because you think that it's not going down, just not what you rocking with. However, you know, you and your Semitic language and religious beliefs, you know, we still respect you and thank you for supporting, you know, the Mossi Warrior clan and all the families, because you in all the chats, even though you just be trying to kick up some dust sometimes and people don't, yeah, you study, all right. You study a brick wall. You believe in Yahweh and all that. Nah, I'm just teasing. But nah, man, go ahead, Kofi, man. Close on now, bro.
Yeah, but we finna get out of a piece to everybody, man, in the chat. Like I got Sutek Huru, you know what I'm saying? He support us a lot. Ibibu, support us a lot. Shout out to him. And man, is that Ibibu is was your mother in the chat, man? I heard you mention the other show. I don't know what that might have been Sean. When Sean
Nah, man, it was not. They was mocking an individual who, you know, who brought in some of that Iwa Baruru.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's kind of had some bad energy coming into the chat. I don't know why, what that was about. The sister's usually combative when she comes in anybody's chat, but she has been more mild mannered. However, I think today she was just already in a bad mood and she didn't like some of the information that was being showed, and she had some displeasure.
Who, Ebony Knowledge?
Yeah.
Who is that? Who is
Ebony ain't been acting too knowledgeable lately, but it's okay. She's fine. She's always around. She always trying to argue with Wujawu and
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know who she is now.
she, you know, sometimes she means well. Sometimes she just want to argue for argument's sake. In my opinion, but she a good sister. You know, just like she said when she came in the chat, she was already having a bad day. So, you know.
And that's why I always over here, sister. I mean, just heads up. It's Fatmu Iwa Pele Fatmu Alafi. That's we bring forth good peace. We bring forth peace over here, and we bring forth good character over here. So if you're having a bad day, that's for anybody. If you're having a bad day and you don't know how to control it, where you want to take it out on other people, then you know that's not good character. Then you know you might want to not even tune in. You know what I'm saying? You might want to just isolate yourself for the day till you feel good about yourself. I said you could delete a whole bunch of this girl comment. But yeah, you know, appreciate everybody. Kayla Sykes, appreciate Miss Trismas, aka Sister Sophie. Uh Everything is everything. If you still in here. Oh, my baby was in here. She was laughing. My baby Nanya Mika, she was in she was in here. Uh um who else? Peace to Jeff Johnson. He's a pretty, he's a regular now. Man, everybody, man. If I miss you, I said Sutek, Huru, Professor, what you in here? Please appreciate it. My brother June is still in here. Everybody, man. I'm kind of strolling through.
She's still in here.
Who?
Your old lady, she's still in here.
Is she?
Yeah, she
Where
is.
where you at, baby? I see her right. Yeah. Well, man, we're gonna get up out of here, man. Again, we appreciate
I'm
y'all.
surprised she let you hang out this long. You know
Yeah.
You using on the leash.
Yeah, she said I got the bull jump over there at 6 o'clock, but I told her I got a presentation at 6, man. But shout out to Ali Dawood L Priest, brother. But man, again, man, we appreciate y'all, man, for rocking out with the Mossi Warrior Clan. Y'all could have been doing anything with your time, but y'all, you know, tune in for us, man. Yeah, Sister Juju, you still in here? Yeah, you ain't fired, neither, Sister Juju. I appreciate
Bro, she ain't been here the whole time, bro. I've
it.
been watching.
She ain't been here the whole time.
Nah, man. She been chasing that little dude, I think. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Sister Juju. But yeah, man, appreciate y'all, man.
She won't smoke. Let's see if she won't smoke.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, man. But we want to say
You ain't gonna play the
let me
video?
stop sharing. Man, I forgot to put it on here, man. I forgot to put it on here, dog.
You gonna get
I was.
Ben,
I know it, man.
I'm going on record, Ben. I'm going on record to say that Kofi is officially fine, brother. And I do understand. He finna get these 100 lashes. Stop sharing the stuff. You gonna get these 100
Yeah.
and get these 100. Vasa do it at 6 a.m. I mean 6 p.m. Central. 6 p.m. Central. Vasa going live. You gonna deal with the concept of time. And man, everybody that's in this chat, man, hop over to Kofi Piesie TV at 6. And let's support Brother Vasa as he gets nervous, but you know, we trying to help the brother, support the brother. He's a good brother. He tries to do things in the right way, talk to people the right way, and display and bring forth good character and illustrate that in his tone. We haven't seen him lose control yet. We still are waiting to see how he loses his control. So we're gonna have to keep on pushing his buttons until he can lose control. But look forward next week to Brother Ben question and answer live on Facebook next week, and I will be presenting my last presentation of 2018. And then after that, you will see Kofi Piesie bring in the end of the year and New Year, because as he will be going back to back after I present next week, he will be going back to back on the Mossi Warrior Clan channel. So I just wanted to let his boo know that Kofi will be back-to-back presentations he's going to end the year and he's going to begin the year for the Mossi Warrior Clan as we move forward. And I want to thank you first, sister, for allowing our brother dear Kofi to end the year and begin the year presenting information to the family. And Kofi, I want to thank you for agreeing to that. And you know, that's really it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, that's all I got.
You was, man, that was what I was gonna tell you off the air, man. But I'll come back and do something. I'll probably come back and I'll probably do a reload.
Be out of town, bro. That's why I'm saying it, because you know
we out of time. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna be out of town. I leave out of town. I present next week, and then I'm gonna leave and go out of town. You see what I'm saying? So
okay,
you're gonna 2 week it up for us. I ain't even started working on nothing, so I'll probably do it a little bit on my vacation.
I ain't did nothing either, but I'm probably gonna do the Kwanzaa. I'm gonna do the Kwanzaa Reloaded. So I'm gonna go back and add some stuff to Kwanzaa. I might do a little smaller thing on Kwanzaa because people still asking about Kwanzaa. So I might do something on that. And I might come back and do something. I'm gonna do a wrap up of the year too, though. So I'm gonna do a wrap up of the year, the Kofi Piesie TV and the Mossi Warrior Clan. Basically, a lot of the stuff that we did for the year, and probably turn it into like a question and answer, or just bite some people on, and just join the panel, man. Just go over.
Look in the chat. Look in the chat. What you find, Caleb? Vasa in the chat. You know, he wasn't in there. He wasn't in there early.
Oh, he said he just woke up.
Yeah. See?
It's all
normal people have abnormal sleep patterns. I just want to let y'all know that. Kofi, Vasa, they don't Wujau, you know, they sleep funny. So if you can't catch them during the day, there's a reason why. If Kofi ain't in the swimming pool, you know, that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, if I hated the swimming pool, don't sleep. Swimming pool put me to sleep too. But anyway, y'all, we done, man. Again, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Like the show. If you don't like the show, thumbs the show down. If you like the show, thumbs it up. Either way, you know what I'm saying. We appreciate it either way. And on that note, man, we out. We'll see y'all next week. Sean, like Sean said, he'll be presenting next week, so we'll see y'all at 2 p.m. Next week on Mossi Warrior Clan, or a little bit earlier than 2 p.m. on the Mossi Warrior Clan. And we out of here, man. Peace and love and Black African power, family.